Hello, everybody. We're back. I hope that this is working a little bit better now. Please let me know in the description or in the chat if I'm coming through, if you can hear me, if you can see me. It's going to take a little bit, I think, to get the kinks worked out. I thought that I had everything up and going and figured out, but unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to be going that way. It says that I have an excellent connection and I have all of this and that, but it's not going so well. So please let me know in the comments, A, if you can hear me, and B, if you can see me. So I see a couple people coming in. I do apologize. We're about a half hour late from when I originally planned, but that's the way live things go. I'm wanting to get this started off so that I can start doing lives every week. That's kind of my plan as of now, so that I can come join you guys. We can create together a little bit and go live every single week. So, but if issues like this happen, it doesn't make it fun for any of us. So, trying to work out the kinks. So, I appreciate your patience and your understanding. So today I'm going to be limited color palettes, why you would choose them, choosing them, and why you would even want to in your work. So I love to work this way, and most of the time a limited color palette is actually the way, there we go, the way that I work. And for the longest time, I did not really realize that this was different than anyone else's. I mean, sure, I could look at people's work and see that it was different, but a limited color palette is just always how I have gravitated to working. It's what comes most natural for me, and other people will say, I would love to work that way, but it's just too difficult for me. I want to work with all the colors. I feel the opposite way. When I think about working with a lot of colors, it actually makes me a little bit nervous to figure out everything going together. And this is the comfort zone for me. Jill, I see your comment about the choppy reception. I am so sorry about that. It is probably not just you. I'm having some difficulties here. I'm going to keep this just short today. Because I'm not really sure what's going on. More test runs this week, and just see how things are going, so that when I do start having this issue, because it is frustrating for you guys to watch, it's frustrating on my end. So let me just cover like a few little bullet points here. So this journal here, I've worked with all pinks and oranges, and it makes it really fun when you choose a limited color scheme, because everything that you're making, all the papers, all the fabric, everything goes together. It kind of takes out what I like to call decision fatigue when you're choosing to work in this way. A lot of times when I start, I will pull my colors ahead of time. So I had planned to really pull out some materials here and show you guys and swatch things, but I don't think that's going to be the best choice for today, just because of how choppy all the reception is. So the way that I like to go about picking a color scheme is I like to look at the color wheel, actually, and I like to choose most of the time an analogous color scheme, meaning colors that all lay right next to each other on the color wheel. So with this one, I chose the pinks and the oranges and kind of into the yellows, and they all just flow one into another. And then when you start working with them, say you're working with paints, you can start mixing those paints together, and you get a lot of variations. I am not in Texas, I'm in Iowa. I think it's on my end, the software It's a new software that I'm using, and I thought I had tested out all the kinks, but unfortunately that is not the case. So I'll be having to do some lives this week to really get all of those bugs fixed. So I'm just going to keep this short, just a couple minutes today, because I'm not even sure that this is coming through to you guys on your end. I don't know if you guys can just see me at this point or if you can see my desk. It's not showing me a lot on my end, unfortunately. I like to have this color wheel kind of up with me, like in my studio. I have it over on the bulletin board to my right a lot of the times, and that's how I pick my color schemes a lot of the times. Lately, I have been real stuck in the blues and the greens, and then also the pinks and the oranges. So that is just something to know. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little flustered. I had like some more stuff prepared, but this technology, I am like, I just keep going back to it, and I don't even think it's coming across to you guys very clear. Okay, so you guys can see the desk and you can see me. Okay, thank you. That gives me a little bit of reassurance that, like, totally insane. So, one of my best tips, I think, for getting started with a limited color scheme is to pull your supplies and pull your things that you're working with before you even start working. So I have my cart of paint behind me here, and a lot of times I'll just take out the colors that I'm going to be working with. So if I'm working with, you know, oranges and pinks, I'll actually like take out my bucket and pull out the colors. So I'll pull out, you know, the oranges and the pinks that I want to work with. I think that what I like about doing this best is, yes, it would probably just be easier in the long run not having to put as much stuff away if I just left everything over on my cart. But I figure as I create, I get a lot less decision fatigue when I have those supplies already pulled in front of me. And what I mean by decision fatigue is, let's say that we're creating a whole batch of papers. If you know me, you know that I enjoy batch creating. Batch creating is when you're making, say, papers, and you make a ton all at one time. You know, these two were done with stencils. This was just with paint mixing, some more stencils. There's a lot of other, again, getting in that flow. I'm working, and that's when I reach my level of like creative flow. I don't have to think quite as much about what I'm doing versus if I were to make one paper and then try to fold it to put it into the signature and then do all of this stuff, my brain can't really focus on that. I have to get into that flow and be able to create a lot of one thing at one time. Hopefully that makes sense what I mean by batch creating. That way I can actually just pull from my stash, and in fact right here I have just a folder, and this folder is all pinks and oranges done together. And I'm starting another little journal over here. Let's see, the cover's buried in here somewhere. Possibly. Man, that really flustered me earlier. Oh, here we go. Okay, so here we go. And so now I can actually just pull out this batch of papers right here. And that way I know that they all already go. That's one of the biggest benefits for me with working in a limited color scheme, is everything already matches, and you don't have to spend that time trying to find those papers that match. So that's actually how I organize them in my paper stash as well, is I organize them by color. When I first started out, type meaning jelly prints were all together, and messy papers were all together. But what I found is every time I went to go create a journal, I would actually have to like open up all of my folders and pick out the colors that I wanted. So I did an overhaul and I organized everything basically by color now, and it can become a little tricky once you start doing more than one color together. For example, like pink and orange. I actually have a folder that's like pink and orange together, but I also have like a pure pink one and I have an orange one. Anyway, I could go on about that system forever. I don't have a perfect system as far as organization goes, but it's just a matter of finding things that work for you. So back to, I believe I was talking before I got on that little rampage of decision fatigue. And when we pull out our supplies ahead of time and we know what our options are that we're choosing from. So I could even do it with mark making supplies, right? You could go through your mark making supplies and you can actually bring you right now. So I could just pull these out and I could even take some time and swatch them, and you could do a have a little swatch book that you swatch all of them in. You can also then get containers where for each individual project, you are pulling those supplies together. So whenever I go to make another decision, say I'm making 20 papers and I'm on paper number 9, well, what do I do next? You know, I don't need what supply I'm using. What color do I want? So by having your colors already picked out ahead of time, it allows you to stop thinking as much and just get into that creation workflow. Speaking of organizing by color with my papers, I recently redid all my mark making supplies too. This is very recent. I have a little over here, and I did like acrylic markers and stuff in the back, and then my Neo Color 2s and color pens like this so far. So before I had it organized by type, all of my markers were together, all of the colors were together, and then Neo Color 2s, all of that, and it worked okay, but I found myself not using a lot of the supplies because I would always be working by color anyway. I know not everybody is as color conscious as I am. That is really how I decide how I'm going to get inspired by something a lot of the time, is I actually start with color and then move on from there. So I hope that this helped a little bit. I don't think I was very clear or in any particular order like I had intended to be. I know that you guys can all relate to the technology issues as well. I'm hoping to rewatch this back, see how choppy it was, do some test runs and get things figured out, and also get this setup figured out so that you don't have to have the phone like in front of my face when we are talking. So my biggest tips here would be to start with the color wheel and pick some colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, because you know that they're all going to match and blend together very seamlessly. The other big thing I think that you can get from this is, with a limited color palette, I think you can actually get more variety and dimension than you can if you choose all of the colors. That is, you can really play with the different tones and shades and values when you are limiting yourself to focusing on just 2 or 3, versus when we say pick 5 or 7 colors, you tend to use all of the same value, so you may stick to all the medium tones in there, and in that way you're not creating as much depth and dimension. Yes, I see you guys commenting about the video stopping. I think it is for everybody. It's something I need to figure out on my end. That's why I'm just going to keep this really short for today. So I will get this figured out. Thank you guys for being here and helping me with this, and for your patience.